Welcome back, Saints. I'm Ryan Loons.
And I'm Eric Wickman.
And this is SFHS Today. In international news, since Russia invaded Ukraine, they have failed to capture the capital. But still, the war goes on, with this past Wednesday marking a pivotal action by Secretary of State Antony Blinken.
In national news, it has been a news-filled week for the Supreme Court, starting off with the confirmation hearings from Judge Brown Jackson, but this is overshadowed by AP News reporting that Justice Clarence Thomas was hospitalized on March 18th with flu-like symptoms.
With recent news on inflation, we went straight to our economics expert, Mr. Lipinski, to find out what inflation means to us.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about why gas prices are where they are, but before we can get to that, present day, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about some history. So, first thing you have to remember is that if we go back to just before the pandemic, gas prices were probably hovering somewhere around $2.85 a gallon at some point in time. Now, when I teach economics, we use the laws of supply and demand graphs. So a better way of understanding this is to just say that this is a market. You have supply of gasoline by suppliers who produce gasoline from oil. So oil is the major input to making gasoline. And then you have demand. This is the consumer, us buying the gasoline. And so in the market, wherever these two intersect is what we call an equilibrium price, which is basically the price that gasoline is going for per gallon in the market. And then down here is going to be the quantity. So that's going to be however many gallons. So maybe 1 million gallons is sold in the market. In the United States of America, we consume around 18.3 million barrels of oil per day. That gets converted into a multitude of different things, gas being one of the major ones. So what happened was we have a pandemic that hits. We all know that we stopped driving as much. We weren't going as many places. We weren't flying on airplanes. And we all just kind of cut our gas consumption down quite a bit. And so what that does is it causes this demand curve to shift to the left in this direction. And with that, because of the law of demand and the shift, because we're no longer demanding gasoline, the prices came down. And in some instances, I want to say it came down to almost below $2 a gallon in some places during the height of the pandemic when people really weren't going anywhere. Well, guess what? The pandemic has slowed, of course, in the United States anyway, and the rest of the world. People have started to demand more gasoline, and they're traveling more, going more places. As a result of this, the demand curve then turned and ended up going in this direction now, and that is one event that led to higher prices, and maybe it went up to $3.25 a gallon at some point once the pandemic was kind of going away. And that's just the law of demand. That's how the markets work. And the other thing now that has made it even worse, of course, is the demand fell. All of the suppliers, the producers, Exxon, BP, Shell, the major oil producers of the world, they cut back on their production. So they took a lot of machinery offline and shut down a lot of exploration because it wasn't an incentive to do it because the gas prices were so low. Well, now that demand has increased, they're trying to catch up with it, but it's going to take a little time. The other thing that we're running into now is a supply shift to the left. And this is because of the war now in Ukraine. When Russia decided to invade, it reduced the supplies of oil and therefore gas to the rest of the world because some countries are cutting them off. And so we are looking at prices now that are hovering around $4 a gallon in many places. I think it was $4.75 yesterday in town or something like that. And the United States gets about 600,000 barrels of oil from Russia. President Biden has said that we will no longer be accepting Russian energy in the form of oil or natural gas from Russia anymore as a way to punish them for the invasion in Ukraine and what they're doing over there. So we have a supply shortage, and what's going to happen is it's going to take some time There are currently leases that are available to the major oil producers of, like BP, Exxon, and Shell available, so they can go and start to drill for more oil, which hopefully then what will happen is it'll increase the supply and bring those prices down. It's just a matter of time, okay? And that's what we're looking at. In fact, actually, my understanding is that oil prices came down from over $100 a barrel. They're down to around $99.76 as of today. So with that said, we should see some of those prices slowly start to creep down. And if we can find other suppliers, say maybe we get more from Venezuela, or we talk to some of the Middle Eastern countries and see if they can kick up production, that should increase those supplies and bring those prices down and ease some of that burden. The other thing that would happen is we as consumers need to change our habits potentially. We will drive less, not take as long, not go on as longer trips. Maybe we won't take that flight that we had planned to take in the summer, we won't go. And therefore that will pull back on some of that higher prices. This is all energy inflation, we call it, or fuel inflation caused by these conditions that we're experiencing. But again, my guess is slowly over time, those prices will ease and hopefully come back down.
In school news, MORP was Friday, along with the all-district band concert being held on Thursday. We went to hear all about it.
So what is the excitement for the all-district concert?
Well, we were so excited. We had almost 300 students performing at the concert on Thursday night. We brought over 110 sixth graders and almost 200 middle schoolers just to come to the concert. So I think that was the biggest highlight for us, was to see everyone across the whole district from 6th grade all the way through 12th grade.
What were some highlights of the all-district concert?
For me, it was just to hear the bands play and to see all the support from the community, from our friends to be there, and the size of the audience and the quality of the music, and to watch the progression from 6th grade all the way up through the wind ensemble is always a fun part of this concert.
What instrument do you play?
I do percussion.
What was your favorite piece from the all-district concert?
My favorite piece is a piece called Sun Cycles, which is an Egyptian tune.
What instrument do you play?
I played the flute.
How did your solo go?
Went well. Before this, I practiced for like 2 or so weeks in Saint's time, just getting it down. And yeah.
How did you get the solo?
How did I get the solo? Well, there's 4 flutes. There was 2 flute 1s, 2 flute 2s, and it was out a lot, and I put in the work for it, so I got the solo.
With the recent grand prize drawings for Saints Pride, reporters Brody Wyant and I went to talk with Miss Cascaden about what is next for our Saint Pride endeavors.
Should students still be expecting to see the blue Saints Pride tickets?
Definitely. All of your teachers should still have Saints Pride tickets, and they can give them out at any point in any location for any reason. So whether you're being positive, respectful, involved, determined, empathetic, they can catch you doing the right thing in class or in the hallway, the cafeteria, like anywhere.
And then what new Saints Pride things should we expect this try?
Well, whereas we've been emphasizing what those different character attributes are in general, like how to be a good person in those different ways, now we're trying to transition to seeing those wonderful traits in action. So positive attributes about being respectful or empathetic or whatnot. How can you do that in a cafeteria setting? How can you do that in the school parking lot or at an assembly, an athletic event, things like that. So the change will be to emphasizing particular locations and how we have positive expectations in those different locations, but you may still receive a Pride ticket from any staff member in any location for doing any of those great things.
This week emphasizes areas for Saints Pride are the hallways and flex areas.
Now let's hit it over to sports.
Hey, Saints, I'm Brody Wyant.
And I'm Nick Coop.
And this is Sports. national sports news, the Phoenix Suns clinched the top seed in the Western Conference for the NBA playoffs with their win over the Nuggets last Thursday. Suns were the first team to clinch a playoff berth this season and now clinch the best record in the league.
In school sports news, tennis is kicking off their season with their first practice today, and the track team will head to Monticello on Thursday for their first meet of the season.
Well, our new AD at St. Francis, Mr. Juleson, has taken charge with a new initiative that is every last Friday of the month. He is now holding Saint Squad. Our team went to find out more.
What exactly is Saint Squad?
Okay, so Saint Squad is a group that I formed this year, and it's really about taking ownership of our programs for our student leaders. So it's every program, activity, athletic program, and I'm careful not to say it's captains or leaders because not every program has captains or leaders. But and it's sometimes appointed by a coach or advisor. Otherwise, it's just students taking ownership for their different programs and getting together once a month. It's the last Friday of each month, and we started in the Saints room during Saints time for our Saints Squad. We've since moved it to our team meeting room across from the weight room, and it's grown. We started with about 30 or 40, and it's grown to about 50, being pretty steady with that. And we just talk about issues that students have on leadership and programs, and celebrate success we have, as well as how do we learn from our failures and improve upon them.
What are a few lessons students get to learn from Saint Squad?
Well, hopefully pride is one that we've talked a lot about, Saints pride, and how do we share that, and how do we get everybody on the same mission or have the same vision. We talk about our purpose is to develop. Our goal is to win, but our purpose is to develop. We talk about being relationship-based, education-based, co-curricular. And then we try to set a climate and culture that everybody can be proud of.
With March Madness in full swing, we went out and asked students and staff who they had winning it all. Let's see how their picks are holding up after the Sweet 16.
What are your March Madness predictions?
I like the Texas Tech Red Raiders to win it all.
UCLA. I think Arizona's going to take the tournament home. I also want to say Hayden Lindquist has the worst brackets of all time.
I have St. Peter's winning because of Doug Edwards, the guy with the mustache. He's an animal.
Gonzaga.
Arizona over Gonzaga. Suck it, Norton.
Arizona is going to lose to Gonzaga in the final.
Looks like a rough year for March Madness this year. Better luck next year.
That's all we have for you this week.
Now back to Eric and Ryan.
Before we leave, our team recently went out to talk with seniors and how they're doing going into the last trimester.
The old familiar sound of the bell echoing through these memory-filled halls. You get up, say your final words to your friends, and head to class. To the lower classmen, this has no emotional tie. Yet. But for our seniors graduating in 69 days, these moments are becoming few and more important. As they have entered their final try, our team went out to interview 3 seniors on how prepared they are for their inevitable end. Are you excited about going to your final trimester of senior year?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm super excited to golf this year and hopefully just have a fun time and take fun gym classes to end out high school.
Are you excited to go into your final trimester of senior year?
Yeah. It's been a long 12 years and it's finally coming to an end.
Are you excited to go into your final trimester of senior year?
No, not really. I'm at that point where I don't really want to graduate and have to grow up.
Do you have any worries about going into your final trimester and leaving St. Francis?
No, not at all. I'll be sad leaving behind some of my teachers and friends after high school, but overall I'm really excited for the next chapter of my life.
Do you have any worries about going into your final trimester?
I would like to get a few more fun classes before my high school career comes to an end, and another worry is my friends are going to different places than I am.
Do you have any worries going to your final trimester of senior year?
No. I just don't want to fail. That's kind of where we're at.
What are some of your favorite memories from the high school?
I would say making it to state for soccer is definitely my favorite memory.
What's your favorite memory from high school?
It'd have to be freshman and sophomore year of basketball. It was really fun.
What's your favorite memory from high school?
Leaving. No, probably like freshman year when someone had like an old Klondike bar or whatever. It was like all ice cream. It was like all liquid. After a pep rally, they just hucked into the freshman stands. Everyone got covered in like ice cream. It was really fun.
What are your plans after high school?
I'm going to attend the University of Minnesota, and right now I'm planning on going into a pre-med track, but we'll see. I'm not completely sure, and I hope to play club soccer too.
What are your plans after high school?
Not quite sure. It's either probably get a job or I'm thinking about going to Anoka Ramsey.
What are your plans after high school?
Go to college. I don't know where yet.
Did you have any worries about going into your final trimester of senior year?
You know, I didn't have a lot of worries with my senior year just because I already knew that I was going to go to Anoka Ramsey. Everything was pretty much laid out for me. But there was that unknown of like, am I ever going to see some of my friends again? You know, am I going to see some of the people that I played sports with? Some of those really things that looking back on now were really things that I took for granted. And those last moments, you can never get back.
What was life right after high school for you?
Right after high school was really carefree. I mean, I was still living with my parents. There's no social media. You know, I worked and just hung out with my friends. I don't think I'm that old, but at times we're a lot simpler back in 1996.
How has St. Francis shaped you into the person you are today?
St. Francis shaped me because I have been here my whole life. Growing up, I had parents that loved this community, which is something that I was brought up with that being instilled in me. And as I got older, this community has just always treated me very good. And part of me wanted to come back and be part of the same type of community that helped me out.
Any advice for our seniors going into their final trimester?
I would say the best piece of advice I could give is, you know, to just enjoy the time you have with your friends, enjoy being in school. It goes by super quick, so just take advantage of all those moments. Take advantage of, you know, your memories from prom, or making the memories for prom, making the memories on your last sporting events. Just be present and be part of the group. I mean, you don't realize it when you're in it that you're never gonna get this back. And for a lot of people, this is a highlight of your high school career is graduating and getting to that point. So why not just enjoy it and enjoy that senior slide.
Well, here you go, class of 2022. The clock keeps ticking and the bells keep sounding. So live in the moment, appreciate the small things, and remember, St. Francis High School, hats off to thee. To our colors, true we shall ever be. Firm and strong, united are we. Rah, 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 rah for St. Francis High.
That's all we have for you this week.
Stay cool, Saints.